Seeing that it is 7 o'clock, we will begin the regular meeting for the Board of Education for the Prior Lake Savage Area Schools. With that, I'll call the meeting to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, the roll call, all members are present with the exception of Melissa. And next on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
By Ben, do I have a second?
Second.
By
Stacy.
Thank you. All right. Any questions or comments? Seeing none. All those in favor of the agenda signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? That passes 6-0. Next on the agenda, the consent agenda. The consent agenda items are considered to be routine in nature and will be enacted by one motion. There's no separate discussion of these items unless a board member or citizen so requests. On tonight's consent agenda is a check wire transfer disbursement summary, the bank reconciliation statement, approval of the school board minutes from our regular session October 9th and the board study session October 23rd, resignations, terminations, and non-renewals, and the PLSAS organizational chart. Do I have a motion for the approval of the consent agenda?
So moved.
By Lee. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Ben. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That passes 6-0. Next on the agenda is the resolution for the acceptance of gifts. We have one gift tonight from a Mary Weitzman for Hidden Oaks Middle School. Do I have a motion for the acceptance of the gifts?
So moved.
By Mary. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Stacy. This is any questions or comments? Seeing none, this is a resolution and requires a roll call vote.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
That passes 6-0. Next on the agenda is Laker Pride. Dr. Stallo.
This is just one of the many signs that have been out in our schools thanking our community for an absolutely outstanding election and campaign. So I want to follow this up with some comments. Since Laker Pride is an opportunity to share gratitude and to recognize successes, tonight I want to be sure to share with our community and with all of you here tonight the gratitude that I feel with the passing of the referendum and seeking the funds needed to, as Sean said, take us into our future. As a learning organization, our focus is always on teaching and learning. And I think when I think about this campaign, that's what I'm most proud of. I'm most proud of the learning that everyone had to do in order to share information, in order to answer questions, in order to understand the proposal that was in front of them. And I saw people learning about things that I don't think they ever thought that they would learn about, like CAB bonds and open enrollment and so many other things that people had questions around in our community. And our community stepped up to answer those questions with facts and to share information wherever they could. And the hours that people spent on their own learning so that they would feel really confident about the proposal and answering those questions was absolutely unbelievable to me. Hundreds of people in our community invested their personal time learning about the facts and sharing those details with others. But I definitely want to call out some folks as well. First of all, I want to thank the school board members for your willingness to bring forward a referendum plan to our community so that our voters could be engaged and empowered to ultimately make a decision about the two questions that were on the ballot and to pass those funding requests and to help us with the future of our schools. I want to thank my administrative team who actually for the last 2 years have spent countless hours seeking a solution and a plan that would both meet the needs of our students and would be something that our community could support. I am so proud to serve every single day with all of you, and I am so excited to see what we'll continue to do now that we get on to the next phase of our work in the district. I want to thank the Prior Lake Savage Area School staff. All of you were on the front lines, answering questions and providing information day and night. Your work time did not end when you left school. I know that. Please know how proud I am for the work that you do every single day, and how proud I have been to watch you as you've continued to be learners and leaders in this organization. I'm really proud when I look at the survey results from last spring. We had 99% of our staff say that they were proud to be associated with the Prior Lake Savage Area Schools brand. I promise you that we will continue to do everything that we can to ensure that that high level of satisfaction maintains. I want to thank our district site teams and staff for all your hard work communicating the facts of the referendum. It was those personal connections that you made over the last several weeks and months that made it possible for voters to make an informed decision. I want to thank the facilities task force members who put time in studying our facility needs, analyzing data, ultimately making recommendations to the school board. Your input and willingness to engage in these complex decisions helped us design a thoughtful proposal to bring forward to our community. And I want to thank all of you who volunteered and worked long hours, who worked to pass this referendum. Thank you to those of you who organized volunteers to communicate referendum information throughout the community, and who gave us so much of your time and energy for our kids. I'm grateful to all of you. I'm grateful to this community for supporting our schools, our staff, and ultimately our students, who will benefit greatly from the additional space, staff, and the materials that they need to succeed. So on behalf of our 8,500 students and over 1,000 staff, I thank you again for all of your hard work and dedication. It is very much appreciated. On behalf of our staff, I promise you that we will continue every single day to work to ensure that our mission comes to life for every one of our students. Thank you. We have a whole lot more to celebrate tonight. It has been a very busy fall. So you've got the referendum over here, and you've got a whole lot of amazing things happening in our classrooms every day. And tonight we're able to celebrate some ways that our students and adults extend their learning beyond the school day. So tonight I'd first like to start out with a couple of our adult coaches for some pretty amazing recognition. So if I could please ask the men's soccer coach, Mike Shabuski, to come up here, please. So not only, as Mike's making his way up here, he was really excited about this tonight. But it's very deserving. So not only did Mike help lead his amazing men's soccer team to the state tournament, Mike was also selected for 2 very prestigious awards. First of all, he was selected to the Minnesota Boys Soccer Coach of the Year for Section 2A, which in itself would have been an unbelievable honor for a very, very humble coach who doesn't really like this kind of recognition. But then on top of all of that, he also earned the State Coaches Association Coach of the Year Award for men's soccer. On behalf of all of us, the joy it was to watch your team and the lessons and the work that you provided to not only help create great athletes, but great men. Thank you for everything. Congratulations. And true to therefore, Mike would not like to say anything this evening. Along with the theme of amazing coaches, I would also like Mike Binkowski to join me up here, please. So, we're going to talk mountain biking a little bit. And I don't know that Rich Wolf and I could be much more excited to talk about mountain biking this evening. But tonight I have standing next to me also a state coach of the year from the Minnesota High School Mountain Bike League Association. I think that was named 2 nights ago, is that right?
That's right, on Friday night.
On Friday night. So that is amazing. There are anywhere between 300 and 600 coaches, including assistant coaches in this league. So this is kind of a big deal. This guy's kind of a big deal is what we're talking about here. What's really also a big deal is Mike has been the volunteer head coach for the last 6 years, and this year you don't even have a child racing.
That's right.
So he's continued that commitment to the program and to our families and our students without even having a student here, so thank you. According to one of the parents that I spoke to, Mike believes, has taught and modeled to countless student athletes in Prior Lake the values of strong mind, strong body, and strong character. Mike developed and coordinated a program for 3rd grade through 6th graders called Bike Ninjas. It's to encourage to get kids to get on and have fun and find a lifelong passion for biking and cycling. Mike and his entire family have selflessly dedicated time and resources to hundreds of kids in Prior Lake. And I know that you have the stats better than I do, but can we talk a little bit about the program that you've grown
Sure.
over the last 6 years?
Sure. So we started 6 years ago, like you said, with what I would call a ragtag group of about 12 or 13 kids that my 2 sons pulled together from a bunch of friends, and we started this league the first year that it was started in the state. Since then, we've come close to doubling in size almost every year to now where we have almost 70 kids riding between middle school and high school, males and females, and plus 20-some coaches and assistant riders helping us throughout the year. So we've been very proud and blessed to have the tremendous growth that we've seen here and just look forward to more.
Congratulations. Very nice. And great coaches help develop great athletes. So at this point, I would like to ask 2 state champions to come up here with me, please. Cal Sandberg and Tom Beyer, please come up here. We'll talk more. So we'll start with Cal. Congratulations. Share just a little bit of Cal's outstanding work this year. Cal is the varsity mountain bike champion, first place in the state championship race in Mount Cato, and he was the #1 racer for boys varsity overall throughout the season. So it sounded to me, and you might have to fill in the gaps, 2 racers. You won a race, and then the next race this other guy won, and then you won, and then this other guy won, but you won the state championship. Congratulations, Cal. And we also have in our midst this evening, Tom Beyer is the JV state champion, correct? He finished first in all 5 races this season. So the #1 racer overall for JV for the season. It's outstanding. Thank you. And undefeated last year as well. Would you guys like to say anything? You okay? All right. The gentlemen do not want to say anything, but I think we've got a video.
We do.
I'll say it.
Thank you.
So I just want to say that these 2 guys here were the leaders in our team throughout the whole season. And I'll say, you can tell that they've been humble, quiet leaders because they lead by example. But the amount of work and dedication that they put in throughout the season is just amazing. It's well beyond what we did in practice. They were out there starting in late winter, early spring, riding for literally thousands of miles over the course of a year to prepare. So well-deserved recognition here tonight.
Go ahead and watch the video. I think Rich is already trying to figure out when he's going to ride with him next year. Oh, you've ridden with him before. Okay, I'm going to figure out when I'm going to ride with him. And we also have 2 more state champs in the room. So at this time, I would like to invite Charlotte and Taylor to come up, please. Hey, you better join them too. PJ, why don't you join them too? Standing here with me right now are our state doubles champions. For the second time, Taylor, it's your second time, is that right? For the second time. So I'm going to let them or PJ talk just a little bit about the match because I know it was pretty amazing, but really proud. Anytime we've had lots of teams that have done really, really well, and our tennis team over the years has done fantastic. But when you get into a state championship match and overcome a whole lot to be victorious, it's really amazing. So we are so proud of the work that you've done to get to this point, and for the perseverance that you had throughout the year to come away as champions. So really, really proud of you. The 2 of you like to say anything? Not like putting them on the spot or anything.
It was really stressful, I'll put it out there, because we came in unseeded, so we, kind of just went in and we were like, okay, we gotta put, our mark on, the tournament. We can't just go in and lose first round, so we were like, and then, I think it was our, semifinal match, and we were like, it was, getting close in the second set, and we were like, because we already had, 2, 3 sets, and we were like, we can't do another third set, no. And then Edina one was just, I can't even explain it. It was just so opposite. I don't know. I don't even remember half the match, if I'm being honest. I was just in so much of the moment. I don't even remember half of it.
Yeah, it was one of the best experiences of my life, and it was awesome to do it again. The first round was the closest match I've ever been in. PJ almost died.
Yeah, I remember everything.
But thank you, PJ, for a good season. Yep. And thanks, parents.
It's been great. I'm so proud of these 2. I mean, they played their first round match was against Edina, and it was 7-6 in the third. And we knew that was going to be the match. If we could win that, then they would probably be the favorites, so they did. So proud of them. And Taylor Jackson's got to be probably one of the only 2-time defending state doubles champions, I think, ever. So congrats.
Please come.
Thank you all for being here tonight. As we opened up with the referendum, it talks about the space we need to ensure that that our students have the space and the staff and the materials in order to learn and the environments that are conducive to 21st century learning at this point. And I think the second part of Laker Pride, where we take a look at how students and adults extend that learning beyond the school day and continue that learning, which enhances what they do in the classroom, is really amazing. So thank you all for your efforts, for the championships and those days that there aren't championships. The lessons that we learn along the way are so vital. So thank you for your support and for being here this evening.
Why don't we take just a minute or two and let those members who want to leave. With that, we'll move on to personnel items. Presenting Executive Director of Human Resources, Mr. Matt Mons.
All right, good evening. We'll start out with candidates for employment. I am recommending the following candidates for employment and am seeking board approval.
Do I have a motion for the acceptance of the candidates for employment?
So moved.
By Ben, do I have a second?
Second.
By Todd. Any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That passes 6-0.
Barely.
Choked up.
All right, next on the agenda.
I can take it from here for a moment if you'd like. So next up, I'm presenting the following leaves of absence and am seeking board approval.
Do I have a motion to accept the, what did you say, leaves of?
Leaves of
Leaves of
absence.
absence. Just watching Rich.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any questions or discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries 6-0.
Okay, next on the agenda is new business. We have no unfinished business.
Wait, is that it? Are you done?
Yes.
Okay.
So we have no unfinished business. New business, fee pay update report. No board action is requested. Executive Director of Business Services, Ms. Sink.
Good evening. Board Chair, board members, Dr. Stallo. Tonight I just wanted to talk a little bit about our online payments and using our fee pay. 4 years ago, our board had looked and we had brought forward a one-stop online payment for our parents. And for a couple of reasons. First of all, it was for convenience for our parents. We had a couple, if they wanted to pay their lunch payments, they had to go into one account. If they wanted to pay something like their fees, they had to go somewhere else. And so this was a one-stop option for our parents. It's a convenience to them, and it also helped us to streamline our financial transactions. By utilizing our online payments, it decreases our risk of fraudulent activity. It decreases the time that's spent counting cash and checks and our trips to the bank. It reduces the number of return checks due to NSF or closed accounts. And it reduces the time to fill out and scan deposit forms. And also it reduces our coding errors because those are hard-coded in our system when they are set up. And you can see over the history, the past 4 years, so we've significantly increased the amount of usage of our fee pay system. Mainly it's in the community ed. That's where our biggest usage is, in community ed for all of the programs for our community. So all of our early childhood programs, our adult programming, everything can be paid online through that fee pay system. But you can see our fees and activities have also gone up. The people utilizing the meals to pay for their students' lunch accounts. And then the point of sale, we've recently started using that a little bit more, where parents or anybody attending an activity would be able to swipe their credit card. So it's the ability to swipe their credit card. We use that, starting to use that more and more, and so we're using that with lunch accounts, with our activities, and our online, or our store at the high school. So I just wanted to kind of show you, I think for us, $8.6 million, I think, is our total that we used this year, or that went through fee pay. And to think that 4 or 5 years ago, the majority of that was cash and checks. So that's a lot of money now to be run through this system where we're not spending time and energy, and that money's not sitting here in cash and checks in the district somewhere. So it's a really a great thing, not only for convenience, again, for parents, but also for the district. So I just wanted to update you on that.
All right, thank you. Next on the agenda is the 2018-2019 school calendar, presented by Assistant Superintendent Mr. Holmberg.
Good evening, Chair Wolf, members of the board, Dr. Stallo. I'm here presenting the draft 18-19 school calendar. for review and consideration. I just want to highlight a couple of things on here. It is consistent with previous calendars with one exception, which I'll be talking about. But just looking at 4 days of fall workshop, the elementary assessment days, looking at a similar MEA break, which has really, for our district, has allowed, we factored in a day before MEA and a staff development day on that Monday. Something that's, I think, a little bit unique to our district is that we have 8th grade students who attend and go out on a field trip experience to Washington, D.C. And so that additional time has really afforded that group an opportunity to have that field trip experience. And so looking at that, Thanksgiving is similar, as well as winter break. The one notable change is spring break is positioned differently. We did have a question come in as far as just the rationale behind the adjustment. I think historically, if you've been on the board or just paying attention to when spring breaks have been in the district, it's typically been in a March concept. And so when we started looking at the calendar this year, we just started looking at, you know, what are some things to look at? What are some things that we may want to consider moving forward? And looking at a slightly later spring break allows us to do a couple of things. Number one, you know, currently with the spring break in March coming back, students have a couple weeks before they go into finals. And so by shifting it to April, it allows the third quarter to fully come to fruition, a break, and then students would start and staff would start the fourth quarter. So it appeared to be a little bit more of a logical break. Of course, it breaks a little bit with tradition too of moving that a couple weeks later. One of the other things that that really assisted us with the March spring break was with state accountability testing. The last couple of years, we've gained a lot of efficiencies with online testing and looking at and using Chromebooks and being able to really minimize the amount of time that we're testing and focusing more on instruction. And so by being able to do that, we're able to ultimately not need as much time from March, April, and May in order to complete all the testing requirements. And then finally, just looking at a little bit more efficiency with our students who participate in MinCaps. Currently, our spring breaks between the two districts are about 2 weeks apart, and so we are looking at a way in order to streamline that, that opportunity or that option for our MinCap students. So that was the rationale. I appreciate the question that came forward so that I could at least offer that insight tonight. But with that, I'd open it up for any questions that you might have as a board.
Why don't I take a motion? Go ahead, Lee.
No, sure, go ahead.
Okay, why don't I take a motion for the acceptance of the calendar as presented right now? Do I have a motion for the acceptance?
So moved.
By Ben, do I have a second?
Second.
By Mary, okay. So any questions or comments for Jeff? Go ahead, Todd.
Can you explain the process of developing the calendar and then who was involved?
So when we started with a small subgroup committee off of Meet and Confer. The committee consisted of Sean Bodette from elementary and also as PLSCA president, Nick Ingalls, secondary high school teacher, and Tanya Shopper, middle school teacher. Included John Dahl, assistant principal at Twin Oaks, Mark Paulson, assistant principal at the high school, Kevin Schuttinger, Director of Teaching and Learning, Tim Bell, elementary principal, and myself. And so we started in that small subgroup, just going through the calendar, instructional days, components, talking through these things. From there, PLSCA shared the calendar draft through their executive board and through the teachers groups. I shared it with our administrative team as well for additional feedback. That feedback was, or the draft of the calendar was sent out the second week of September, once we returned from school and got through fall workshop activities. And so from there, the feedback came back, which brought forward this calendar that you have this evening.
Jeff, I have a question. First of all, have you received any feedback from parents yet on this calendar?
No.
I'm wondering, one of the questions that I would have is for parents who have kids in different schools or districts, et cetera, the conflict of the spring breaks, of normal spring breaks, March versus April, and if there's going to be an issue with taking kids out of school in March.
You know, the one thing we've noticed is that when we look at spring break, I think as we go through a calendar, or with any school-related break, whether it's winter break or MEA, we find that while many families try to coordinate their family vacations within the school breaks, we find that we have a lot of families that will take the couple days before, few days after, the week before, week after. And so, you know, one of the things is that families do take, you know, there's opportunities that come up. Many try to, you know, work within the school calendar, but ultimately sometimes too, that just doesn't work. And so, you know, we try to support families when we can by getting the calendar out there, and when they're gone, they do their best to keep to get the students caught up once they return.
Well, first of all, from a parent perspective, it's a lot cheaper to go on spring break in April than it is in March, so they may actually go the other direction this time.
Some of the questions have already been asked that I had concerns about. I was wondering who was involved in the planning and how that all went. And I know that in the past, spring break has always been in March. A number of years ago, we had it in April, and there was a lot of pushback from parents with it in April. I can understand educationally it makes sense to have it at the end of a quarter, so I do support that part of it. But I'm concerned that we would be voting on this tonight and without any kind of heads up, not necessarily input, but heads up to parents that there's a change, because this is a fairly significant change from what we've been doing in the past. I had one other question. Will this have any effect on the timing of the new elementary with us changing any kind of calendar for next year? Would it be the year after that we might be making some more major changes, or?
So that's a great question. Certainly the next couple school calendars we're going to be looking at relative to our construction calendar. Right now, we're starting the meeting process of drafting and getting the construction calendar, which will be coming to the board. At this time, it's too premature to say that we might have to come back to look at adjusting the start and end time of the school year. But this could be a possibility for 18-19 once we further identify what those construction projects, the order of the construction projects, because most likely, I'm sure we'll need a summer in there that has, like we did a few years ago with the high school edition, needing a longer stretch to complete some of the construction components.
You know, I support the idea of at the end, as I said, at the end of a quarter. I know in the past, sometimes we've had it at the beginning of March, so at least they weren't coming back to 1 week of class and then ending, which really has never made any sense to me. But I am uncomfortable going forward with voting on this tonight and would like to have a little bit more time to make that decision. And I don't know whether I need to make I'll wait to hear from everyone else, I guess. I won't say anything more.
I go?
You go ahead.
Okay. I kind of echo what Lee's saying. I do understand the component of being at the end of the quarter. I mean, that does make sense to me. I feel for families like it's a long time here. Winter is long here. And so, and other than the referendum, really one of the things that we get feedback from the community is the calendar. So I do kind of feel like voting on it tonight wouldn't necessarily be, I'd just like to give the community a heads up that it's coming. So I would support something like a first read, like considering this like a first read or something along those lines. I understand, and I agree with the process. It's just, I think we need to give people a little bit of a heads up.
Motion, Rich?
First of all, Ben, do you have anything? Okay.
I have a motion, we postpone the vote on this until the next formal board meeting.
Okay.
To receive community input.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to postpone. Any discussion on that motion?
What is the date on the next one? I know we have the single meeting in December.
December 11th.
11th.
December 11th. All right.
Will the delay in the vote do anything to your planning?
No, I think the clarification I would like is just, you know, would you like us to put a communication strategy together to send it out as a draft school calendar, send it out via listserv to families and parents,
if we
post
can-
it on our
and-
website
and-
to say the board is considering?
Would we want to target it at certain groups?
I may be too late in the program to do that. I guess my concern is I wanted the parents to know that this was coming, and if there's some, strong reason why we, shouldn't support the proposed calendar, I would like them to have that opportunity. So I guess kind of if they're listening, they'll come forward.
Yeah,
Okay,
as far as reaching out.
so just holding off, knowing that this is a first read, and if there's questions to just reach out to me directly. Are we just talking about spring break? Are there other concerns or components that you want feedback on, or is it just the placement of spring break? Just want to be clear what it is that you'd like to get feedback on.
For me, it's the placement of spring break. You outlined that the calendar is pretty similar to what we've had in the past, so
Sure.
that's the only surprise.
Yeah, the comment in the past was it should be labeled winter break and not spring break.
So,
And I think, yeah, I would consider it like how we do policy, like it's out there, and if the public has comment, they can have a chance to have comment before we
Okay.
vote on it. And I think when you are allowed to explain the reasonings behind it, it makes sense, but from an initial, like, what do you mean I'm not going in, you get that initial kind of shock, so I just think it gives people an opportunity.
all right, so I have a motion and a second to postpone this till the next board meeting in December. All right, more discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? That passes 6-0, so that will come back
On December 11th.
on December 11th.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Next on the agenda is the American Education Week. Whereas public schools are the backbone of our democracy, providing young people with the tools they'll need to maintain our nation's precious values of freedom, civility, and equality. And whereas by equipping young Americans with both practical skills and broader intellectual abilities, schools give them hope for and access to a productive future. And whereas education employees, be they custodians or teachers, administrators, or clerical staff, bus drivers, librarians, cooks, or support staff, work tirelessly to serve our children and communities with care and professionalism. And whereas our district, the community hub, bringing together adults and children educators, volunteers, business leaders, and elected officials in a common enterprise, now therefore the Prior Lake Savage Area School Board does hereby proclaim November 13th through the 17th, 2017 as the 96th annual observance for American Education Week. So can I have a motion for the acceptance of this proclamation?
So made.
By Stacy, and a second by Lee. Any questions or comments? This is a proclamation, so it's a roll call vote.
Aye.
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 That passes 6-0. Next on the agenda is Youth Appreciation Week. Whereas the vast majority of youth are concerned, knowledgeable, and contributing partners within the community, and whereas the accomplishments, achievements of these young citizens deserves the recognition and praise of the community, and whereas Optimus International has since 1954 developed, promoted a program entitled to Youth Appreciation Week, whereas the citizens of Prior Lake Area Savage School District have indicated a desire to join the Optimus in expressing appreciation and approval of the contributions of youth, the District 719 Board of Education does hereby proclaim the third week of November as Youth Appreciation Week in the district. Do I have a motion for the acceptance of this proclamation? By Stacy. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Todd. This, again, is a proclamation with a roll call vote.
Aye.
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 That passes 6-0. Next on the agenda is superintendent contract. Earlier this year, I received direction from the school board to contact Mr. Mick Waldsberger of Rupp, Anderson, Squires, and Waldsberger, PA, and directed him to begin negotiation with Dr. Stallo on a new superintendent contract. Mr. Waldsberger has experience in superintendent negotiations with several different school districts. Based on the parameters given to Mr. Waldsberger by the board in his negotiations with Dr. Stallo and with the executive committee is pleased to announce and recommend the approval of a new superintendent contract. You have a copy of the draft in front of you this evening. And with that, I will accept a motion for the approval of the new contract.
So made.
By Stacy, do I have a second?
Second.
By Ben. Questions or comments? Seeing none?
Oh, I want to make,
Oh, go ahead.
well, I'll wait till after.
Okay. Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? That passes 6-0. And I will say I am thrilled and excited to have Dr. Stallo locked up for another 3 years. She has energized the staff, students, parents, and the community, which I think was demonstrated by last Tuesday's vote. So thank you again, Dr. Stallo, for your work and your effort in the district. Any
Rich,
other-
you said it all. That's perfect.
Ditto.
Any other?
Thank you. Nice job.
All right, with that, we move on to policy. There's no policy this evening, and administrative reports. Dr. Stallo.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. At Prior Lake Savage Area Schools, our mission is to educate all learners to reach their full potential as contributing and productive members of our ever-changing global community. And tonight, I would like to highlight some things in which we have been engaged to that end. We got a chance to talk just a little bit about some state tournament action, but I also want to recognize a couple other teams that have represented Prior Lake Savage Area Schools very well in the state tournament. First of all, congratulations to the boys cross-country team. Our boys competed as a team and placed 14th in the state tournament. We also had an individual runner, Mallory Stack, who finished 16th as an individual. I want to also congratulate the football team on earning a berth to the state tournament, and I know there was a disappointing and very cold loss to them, but we're really proud of the season that they had and the fight that they gave. Also, congratulations to the volleyball team. They played in the state tournament last Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. On Thursday, there were over 1,000 fans at the volleyball tournament. I think it was 8 fan buses, 4 band buses, and a whole lot of parents and supporters, so that was pretty amazing. The Lakers ended up winning their first game, losing to Egan in the second game, and then winning the third place game on Saturday. Congratulations to Cece McGraw and Maddie Bremer for making the all-tournament team. Cece McGraw was also selected as the 2017 Miss Baden Player of the Year. So in the last 3 years, the Lakers volleyball team has finished 2nd, 5th, and 3rd. So really fun to see. And then just down the road on Friday night, we also had a big night for our performing arts students as well. The Prior Lake High School concert choir and women's choir performed with the Oratorio Society of Minnesota Chorus and Orchestra at the Ordway in St. Paul. It was just an absolutely unbelievable concert. So proud of our singers. They did a beautiful job with the orchestra and the other choir. Rob Hahn and Randy Erlinson are our directors. They also each directed a piece as well, and then the choirs were combined. So really a special opportunity for our students to perform on one of the largest and most recognized stages in the state. We've got a couple fun events happening thanks to a $100,000 donation from the Shakopee Minnewacaton Sioux community. Our students will have even more STEM math and science learning opportunities, and the district will realize energy savings cost. We are installing some solar panels at Twin Oaks. Twin Oaks Middle School will be flipping on the switch on its solar panel project, which is anticipated to save nearly $100,000 in electricity cost over the next 25 years. The panels will not only save energy, but also provide learning opportunities for our students. Through the solar panels, students will have the ability to chart data, conduct experiments, and learn through a hands-on application of the solar panels. There will be a ribbon cutting ceremony held this Friday, so November 17th, at 1:30 p.m. at Twin Oaks Middle School. Board members, you're certainly invited to attend. We'd love to have you attend, and anyone from the public, we'd also love to have you be there. Again, that's Friday, November 17th at 1:30 at Twin Oaks Middle School. We had Prior Lake High School, a record number of 19 student athletes sign national letters of intent on November 8th. We had an outstanding ceremony that Russ Reitz and Beth Fuller organized, where students were able to sign their intent to continue their athletic and academic careers at colleges and universities across the state. We have a musical coming up. Opening night is Thursday night. Our high school will be performing the musical A Christmas Carol. So there'll be performances Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, and then also a matinee on Sunday. And this week, we are celebrating American Education Week, November 13th through the 17th. This has been a long-standing tradition in our country. It's a time to formally recognize the importance of high-quality public education and the accomplishments of our students and schools on a national level and also in our local community. Pride and gratitude in our schools can be seen in so many ways with parent volunteers, partnerships, and support we receive from our larger community. Our public schools are here for each and every one of our students, no matter the circumstances. Everyone is welcome, and all deserve the support, tools, and time to learn. It's a privilege to be part of the Prior Lake Savage area schools and to work alongside so many talented staff, administrators, and support staff, as well as teachers. Together we build deep relationships. We hear the stories of our students. We tell our stories so that we can serve each other and serve them better. Our school district excels because of this collective effort. We are PLSAS.
Next on the agenda, administrative reports. Any administrative reports? Seeing none. Next on the agenda is student report.
All right, so Dr. Salo did say a lot of the things that I was going to say, so I'll just kind of make it up as I go.
We need to work on this next time, sorry.
We'll communicate better next time. So last week was the end of our quarter, and I think, speaking from the students' perspective, we're all very happy that that is over. And we're excited. We're excited to start a new quarter. It was, as Dr. Salo said, a very big month for the athletics at Prior Lake High School. One that she didn't mention is that girls swim and dive will be going to state as well. Yes, that was the one she didn't say had like 9. So from a student council perspective, we are doing No Shave November currently with the teachers, and we're getting a lot of hype in that, and all the students, I think, are pretty involved in that. Yep. And then on Thursday, we also have a bonding and planning day, and we'll be starting our Sweethearts planning, which is really early, but we're doing it, so it's kind of it. Thanks. It's okay. It's okay.
Any board reports?
I have one.
I do too.
Okay, go ahead, Todd.
Which one are you going to talk about?
Community ed.
Oh,
Lee and I attended the Laker Educational Foundation Casino Night. Had a great night that night. I brought Senator Pratt with to celebrate, and thank you to everyone who put that together. It was a phenomenal night. I recommend anybody who could go next year, and I know it was the 4th annual. It seems like it just started just a few years ago, and I guess it did, but every time is better and better, so thank you to the Laker Educational Foundation. They do some wonderful work here in our district, so.
I'd echo that. It was really a fun night.
Yep.
It'd be great if more people could come. And Horse and Hunt was a great place to have it, so it's convenient to everyone. So a couple things I was going to say is last week and a half ago, Stacy and I and Dr. Salo went to Hidden Oaks and Twin Oaks and had a little visit, which was fun to visit with the teachers and saw some of the classrooms, and reality kind of hit when you walk into a classroom and you can't hardly see the floor for all the kids in the room. So it was a nice visit. I also went to community ed this past week, and we had a discussion on wholeness and wellness, and they've developed a wheel to look at to see how healthy everyone is, not just based on your physical health, but mental and social, and where needs might be in your family or your life. So it was also based on including other cultures. And when we think of cultures, their point was it's not always a country as much as it is the culture that you grow up in and what age you are and how you live. Like a lot of teenagers, their culture is their cell phone. Can't be without it. And then I had a chance at the Optimist meeting to have Richie come from Ola del Lago, and he brought 3 Spanish-speaking country teachers that are working with kindergarten through 3rd graders. And it was really interesting listening to them as they're talking about teaching the little ones how to speak Spanish and are not allowed to speak English. And they're learning from the little kids too, because they're finding out that Minnesota gets cold in the winter, and they're trying to figure out how they're going to prepare for that. So it was a very interesting conversation, but it was really fun to hear what was going on there. So it's a good week.
And I just had a board report. I just wanted to say a few words about the successful passage of our school referendum this last Tuesday. I think as a board, I believe we made the right decision in letting the community really drive this decision. It started with a robust community engagement process where we listened to our facility task force members about what they wanted for the future of our district. It continued with us as a board, listening to the community and refining the ask and finding different funding mechanisms to make it palatable for our community. To my fellow Vote Yes committee members, it is your drive, passion, and unbelievable work ethic that really created the energy needed to pass this levy and bond referendum. You have my thanks. And to our community, thank you so much for showing up and showing us support. It was an incredible night, and I really look forward to the future of Prior Lake Savage Area Schools. Thank you.
Ben? And each of you have the schedule for visiting each of the schools this week as Celebrate American Education Week. I had the opportunity to visit Edgewood and La Ola del Lago today, and they are very excited about getting on with future planning. And earlier a couple weeks ago, I also had the opportunity to visit Red Tail Ridge and visit the cramped quarters there as well.
When I was at the high school earlier today too, I forgot that. And saw the crowding there too, so.
Yeah.
It's a good visit.
And I too would like to echo Stacy in thanking our community in passage of the successful referendum. Seeing no more items on the agenda, do I have a motion for the adjournment of the meeting?
So moved.
By Ben, do I have a second?
Second.
By Stacy, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, that passes 6-0. This meeting is adjourned.